G'day, legends. Welcome to the Thursday Sesh. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight are Jared and Willie. How you doing, Jared?
I am great, just like everyone else who doesn't wear a shade of blue.
And how you going, Willie?
I'm going all right. I've had a surprisingly happy morning this morning. It's just carried on to a joyful afternoon and a really fun evening too.
Your setup this morning looked magic, Willie. Like when you put it in our group chat, it's like a laptop here and another screen here with two games going at once. I'm like, that's an old veteran move right there. He knows what's going on.
Yeah, I had the two games going simultaneously.
I'd planned on doing that, but with the Celtic TV changing their programming, it doesn't work on my TV anymore, so I had to use my laptop, which meant I didn't have a second screen to watch the second game.
I bought a second screen for my laptop, and it's worked out to be one of the best investments I've made. So it's pretty good.
There you go. Willie's IT solutions, everybody. If you want to watch two games at once, hit him up on Twitter. You know the drill. So, yeah, got a little bit to talk about tonight. But what I want to do first is, before we get into it, I'm going to chuck a little ticker message across the bottom of the screen. So I decided that we've got one serious one and two mucking around ones. One of them is a quote from one of the regular commenters on the show. So we'll start off with the serious one, and I'll change them as we go. So smash the like button on the video, and yeah, we'll get into the show a little bit more. So, Willie, Celtic 2, Dundee 0. I think it was 7 changes from the team that beat Motherwell on the weekend when we looked at the lineups. I said on Monday I thought it'd maybe 4 or 5 if we've been crazy, but Ralston in, Carter Vickers in. Trusty moved to his actual position as left centre back for the first time in a Celtic top. We saw him in that spot. Taylor comes back in. Midfielder McGowan and Bernardo and Engels. And then up front, Kyogo with, as Liam said for a joke on Monday, Yang and Palmer on the wings, and it actually happened. So all up, a little bit crazy, a little bit still plenty of talent there, but I just thought our first half was very ponderous and very slow. What was your thoughts on the first half, Willie?
Yeah, I thought we dominated possession. Actually, if you look back at the start sites, there was like 2.59 XG, and we had something like 92% passing accuracy for the half. It was really good reading, but like you say, it was slow, it was ponderous, it was just sort of moving the ball from side to side, trying to probe forward and getting no real joy out of it. Kyogo had a couple of chances. One was a really good save from the goalkeeper, but I think the efficiency of the wide areas kind of let us down a good bit. The whole right side, Ralston, I think Palmer just didn't sort of adapt, or Young, so he didn't adapt. They just seemed to get in each other's way a lot. And on the left, you had Taylor who kept stepping inside, and Young who was just, not Young, Palmer who was just sort of doing his own thing. He's not really what I would call a great team player. He does his own thing. He sets himself up to do his own thing. So, the first half, it was, like I say, it makes great reading for the starts, but not great on the eye.
Yeah, like on that, Willie, I said in our group chat that what I found frustrating was that I found that we were like, when it got to our wingers, right, you go left side and the ball will go to Palmer, and all you want to do is try and beat a man and then beat him again, right? And then you go the other side and the ball would stop whenever it got to Yang. Like, he had the opportunity, he just kept running, go to the byline, get a cross in, right? And when he did that in the second half, we got our first goal. But the first half, he'd tend to get the ball, he'd stop, and then rather than looking for a pass, he'd then go, okay, I'm going to run at 2 players. So Palmer, for me, in terms of his skills and what he did, was the better one of our wingers in the first half. But overall, I thought Yang had a bigger impact on the final result. What was your thoughts on the first half, Jared?
We had a lot of possession, a lot of field. we just again couldn't do anything with it, and it really came down to the wingers. Like you both said, like, at least Palmer was trying to make something happen by himself. Though it would have been better if he got more people involved. Yang kind of looked lost. He needs to go on loan and get some game time. And then when you've also got Ralston behind him, they probably don't get a lot of time together. And you could tell, like, Ralston was going to do an overlapping run, and Yang would take the ball to the byline. And I'm like, okay, well, now you're just dragging all the defenders with you, and now we've lost the ball. Like there was no communication with them. They weren't on the same page. Whereas when you look at like Johnston and what's his name again? Kuhn. When you look at those two, like, Kuhn doesn't even look. He just knows Johnston's going to be there, and he can just flick it, do a little back heel, and it goes into his path because they've got that time together, and they've got that chemistry. Whereas, yeah, we just kind of looked a bit lost. And I don't know what our midfield was kind of doing, but they kind of just felt a bit. Like, I can't remember them really having a very positive, like, an impact at all. McCowan was very quiet. Bernardo did a decent job. I think he was the best player in the first half, but then he got taken off. And defense, well, there wasn't really a lot for them to do. But yeah, halftime came, and yeah, we needed to up the tempo in the second, and we did. But the first half was a bit.
Yep, 100%. Would have to agree there. So, with just having problems here with my mouse and my computer, it's starting to muck around. So I'm trying to get some comments to bring up, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So let's bring up some comments here with Big Dom. There's a huge opportunity for Palmer and Yang to show why they should be in Brendan's plans. Both failed miserably. Then, as Andrew's saying here, the wingers and the fullbacks behind them haven't been playing much. Don't be too harsh. I also think it's combinations, as you were just saying there, Jared. So for me, I'm looking at it going, Taylor inverting works better when you've got Maeda there with the work rate that he has. When you don't have that exact work rate like with Palmer in front of him, what has to happen? Taylor has to hang more out left and just stay out as a fullback instead of ducking in the middle of the park. That's just my opinion. So, as Big Rab's saying here in the comment, like, Voy is better suited to Palmer and Taylor to Maeda. Spot on. Yang and Ralston haven't played any minutes in real terms, so they can't be blamed. There's another comment here as well. Big Dom saying we need to bring back the reserve team games every week. Getting runs into them be interesting. And Heavy Vibes is saying it was a penguin formation, no real wingers. So it was a bit of a interesting one. Now, if this happened, Andrew, the wingers should be made to watch Jinky videos before every game. I can only imagine what would happen. So, especially if you had Palmer watching that sort of stuff. It'd be interesting. So, yeah, I just think overall the balance in the team and the fullbacks and the wingers wasn't that great, but middle of the park, we did our job. The midfield three of McCowan and Bernardo and Engels, I think that works pretty well together. What do you think on the midfield there, Willie?
I don't think the midfield did too badly. I thought they all had decent games. The first half, like I say, Dundee set themselves in. They had 5 across the back and 4 in front of that, protecting them. So there wasn't an awful lot of room to start probing with the forward passes into Kyogo or to the wingers to try and get into the half spaces or into more direct areas. So it was a case of having to play it around from side to side and try and pull a player out of position and make the probe. But Dundee were quite rigid to their formation, and they stuck to their task quite well in the first half. So it wasn't like, that's probably why we had such high passing accuracy in the stats, because it was short passes just going from side to side. Like, so.
Yeah, and what do you think, Jared, overall with the midfield?
Yeah, like I said, they did their job, but no one really stood out, and I think that was because of the troubles we're having on the wings. Because like a lot of the time when our midfield was successful, it's because they're playing alongside with the wingers as well. and getting that movement. And then even like Kyogo, there was no space for Kyogo to make runs for them to get through. Bernardo, I think, played really well. Engels, can't wait for Engels to score a goal when it's not just sitting on the spot, because you can see that it's there. But yeah, I thought they were good, but nothing like outstanding, really. But nothing bad either. Like, I thought they were all pretty solid.
And in the second half, boys, we get into that, and yeah, overall, we went up a couple of notches, up a few gears, made some subs. The game got a lot faster. Willie, what was your thoughts on the performance in the second half?
I thought the second half, for the first 10 minutes, it kind of went the same way as the first. It went the same way as the first half, where it was a bit slow and ponderous, I think. But Brendan usually makes his subs about 65, 70 minutes. I think after 55 minutes, he'd seen enough and he ran any changes in. And then, like you said, the play did pick up pace. And that's when I think Johnson was on the pitch 2 or 3 minutes when he'd already got his chance to get the goal in. So, yeah. And then, obviously, Kyogo gets goal side of Portales, who just pulls his arm down, and it's a penalty. And that was where Engels sort of stepped up to get his goal. So, yeah, it was decent second half showing. Like, we did sort of, once we got the second goal, we just sort of controlled the game and just saw it out from there in.
And Jared, what was your thoughts second half?
I think we were a lot better. I think the intensity raised a little bit, especially when our subs come on. AJ was a lot better. Maida was a little bit better than Palma. I don't think he really done a lot more than what Palma gave us. Who else come on? Hatate. I don't think really Hatate gave us any more than what Bernardo. Actually, no, because Bernardo I thought was our best midfielder. So I was a bit surprised when Hatate was come on that they took Bernardo off. But I don't know. I'm not the boss. And yeah, managed to get a goal. Great. Johnson is he's at his best at the moment, and we got a penalty. But yeah, we should have been doing a lot better, but we got away 2-0. Also, we haven't mentioned in the first half Schmeichel's save. It always gets overlooked, but I think that's probably one of his best saves that he's made since he's came to us. And that, if that went in, it could have been a completely different game.
You just mentioned what I had down on my player focus for the players I wanted to touch on. Well, as soon as you said up, and I'm like, I don't really give him the props that he deserves. I actually had him first one on the list that I wanted to mention. So there you go. Good fun. Good minds think alike and everything. So, yeah, I'll just go through a few more comments here. Henrik McLaughlin saying, Kyogo's confidence looks rock bottom. Hopefully have a big game boost at the weekend. What I noticed quite a few times as well, though, is the runs that were being made and the link up with the wingers weren't that great. Like, Kyogo was making a run, okay, here's this way to sum it up. There's one time he made a run right between the two centre-backs, but Palmer had his head down, missed it. He was offside by the time he looked up. Then there was another time where Palmer's got his head up and he's running and he's looking, and Kyogo runs towards him and then bends his run back the other way. If he had just kept going, the ball could have been slid through and he would have been one-on-one with the keeper from the top of the penalty box. So I think, his confidence is down, but at the same time, he's still making the same runs that he was making and has been making the last few years. It's just a matter of getting the ball to him. And once one goes in that situation, 10 will go in and he'll suddenly just go on a massive tear. That's the way I look at it. I've still got that much faith in Kyogo as a player for us. So I'm just hoping on the weekend, on the wide open spaces at Hampden, he gets all this space, he gets the time and he gets a chance to get in there and bang a goal in or three. So get him back into the mix. So, yeah, that was an interesting one there. What we want to talk about as well is, I'll just go through a couple more here. Henrik McLaughlin's also said about if Palmer and Yang are loaned in January, our wing cover will be paper thin. I don't think both will be loaned. I think it'll be probably Yang will go on loan, Palmer will be sold, and then we'll bring someone in like what we did with Kun last season and have 6 months to bed that other player in. That's what I think will happen if we do let them both go. And there's in January, that's how it'll work out. McLaughlin, poor Rangers fans in work here going Clemental. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you're also saying that looks like Gerard's been sacked by that. Stephen Gerrard's been sacked by that oil money mob. Be interesting. Here he is, the one and only. I've been looking for this comment. Robert Gibson with Palmer, 1-0 all. Wanker departs 2-0 within 10 minutes. So I got the little thing at the bottom of the screen here. At the moment it's saying, "Hail, hail, legends, smash the like button and subscribe." We'll bring up the next one that I put in there. It's a quote from you, Robert. Palmer's a wanker. Robert Gibson. That's the official quote. So we'll keep that on the screen. So I'm just going to find another bit here. So what do we got? Just trying to find the one because I lost what I had on the screen here. There you go. Dan Duggan is saying, "I'm not very impressed with Engels." There's another comment here saying he's a very expensive penalty taker. I think we've got to give him time, all things considered. Look at the first 3 or 4 months when Kun was at the club last season. Jared goes and buys a Kun shirt as a show of solidarity and support for the guy. Look how well he's playing for us. So
just look at everyone. Like the amount of people like that jump on someone because they have a couple of bad games. Like, don't let that get clipped. Because how many people jumped on Trusty and then, oh my God, Trusty's amazing. Trusty's starting for us. How many people jumped on Valley and now Valley's like, oh, he should be starting over Greg Taylor. Everyone jumps on people when they first come in, and then they turn around and start playing well. I don't know why our fans jump on people. Like, you can tell that Engels is a much better player than how he's playing and he's going to. So the only people that are going to look like fools are the people that leave things on social media bagging someone out before they've started playing well. And also, why wouldn't you want your own team to improve and get better?
Also,
unless it's Palmer.
On top of that as well, Jared, Scales was copping it early doors last season. Don't forget that. The season before that, Greg Taylor was copping it. So you just go through it. It's like every player that we bring in, they cop it. Like, the only ones that I don't want to see back in this sort of situation is Palmer. He deserves what he's getting. Bernabé, same deal. Bolingoli, as I've said, the only reason he copped it was because he was horny and it was a pandemic going on. So I can understand that, but he's still an idiot as well. But the rest of the guys, you've got to give him time. If you roll the clock right back, how bad was Larson in his first few games, Willie?
Larson had a really bad debut. I remember him passing the ball straight to Chick Charney, which he got a direct pass. I can't remember who scored a goal for Hibs that day, but he scored straight away, and I don't think he was much better in the second game, to be honest with you. But I think guys need to get off Engels' case. I don't think he was that bad yesterday. He played some pretty good forward passes. He's really tidy in possession. His set-piece delivery is pretty good. There was a few dodgy corners in there, right enough, but overall, he was okay. I don't think it was anything too bad. And I was just looking at one of the stat sites to look at. They've got him at 8.6, which is a pretty high score for a bang average game like that. So, and again, he got a lot of criticism for his performance in Atalanta, but I thought him and Callum McGregor screened that back four perfectly. And I thought, he was really tidy in possession. So I think people need to just put the price tag to one side and realise it's a 21-year-old kid out there playing football, and he's playing it to a very successfully high level. So, yeah, I think there's just a little. We just need to tone it down a little bit. I think people are just getting a little bit too quick to jump to the conclusion that he's not great when he is.
Yep, 100%. You got anything to add to that, Jared?
No, I said what I needed to say about that.
You just did the whole like this, like you were going to say something. So I was like, I'll just double check. All right, so the goals. Alistair Johnson's goal, Willie. What do you think?
There's not many right backs in Scotland that'll get 4 goals from open play at this stage of the season. Like, you know what I mean? The only other people that are score from right back get penalties and only penalties. You know what I mean? So
Let's see what
yeah, it's a good goal. You know what I mean? He's in the right place at the right time. Young gets to the byline. He gets his cross across. Well, he tries to get a cross across, and he gets a lucky deflection off their defender. It just falls right in front of Alistair Johnson, who can't miss from there.
And then we'll go to you, Jared, for the penalty and the second goal. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, for me, it was. I thought the pass was horrendous that was through, and then Kyogo actually made a really good run. I was like, "Oh crap! That I was not expecting that pass to get through." And apparently, neither was the defender because he crapped himself and had to pull him back. So yeah, penalty, which is good because if the form that Kyogo is on, if he did get an open shot, he'd probably have missed it today. But yeah, Engels just stepped up, calm. I don't think he's as panicked as a lot of people think, and just puts it home.
Yep, exactly.
Not a lot to say about a penalty.
So we'll go quickly to the player focus part now. I was going to have Schmeichel. I had good saves, couple of good saves, and good distribution. So that's what I had down for him in my notes. What players do you guys want to focus on and give a props to, or tell everyone that absolute rubbish? So, Dan, no, where's Dan? Where's Dan? We'll get him to talk about Scales when he comes. Oh, that's right. He's not here. Shut up, Dan. It says at the bottom of the screen now. But yeah, for me, I thought when Scales come on, the reason I'm touching on Scales here is because what I liked was the versatility from Trusty playing alongside CCV and Scales. Like when Scales come on, we looked really balanced. When CCV was on, we looked really balanced. The fact that Trusty was able to play left and right side is great for us. So I wanted to just talk about the centre-back grouping in particular. So, yeah, I thought that looked pretty good and really solid between the three of them. So we've got some good ones there. Jared, you got anyone you want to...
Well, on what you were just saying, I've made a note because there's been discussion. It's like, okay, so who plays the next game? Like an important game where you would have all your starters. Like, who would your starters be? And if you just go back 6 months, we were all saying the biggest needs, we need another centre back and we need a left back. And now the areas of the field we're looking at is like, okay, we've got 3 starting centre backs for 2 spots, and people are going to argue who takes those spots. Is it CCV and Scales who have got it, or is Carter been out injured and now Trusty and Scales, who had that amazing game in Europe? Do they take it, or like Trusty and Carter Vickers had a good game today and they're both in form? Like, I don't think there's a really too much of a wrong answer, but it's like this is a completely different problem than we had 6 months ago. And then at left back, we needed a left back, and that was it. Greg Taylor gets a bit of competition and starts the season the best I've ever seen Greg Taylor play. Valley comes in, builds himself up, and now everyone's like, oh, holy crap, Valley is now like the best left back in the country. So it's like, it's amazing how we've went from the 2 weakest spots to having too many good players, and we don't know which ones to start. No one really stood out though in this game. I don't think anyone was like really crap, because I'm not going to bag out Yang and Palmer, who I think were the 2 kind of people that held us up too much. But Palmer at least gave us a bit of an attack. Yang needs time. He needs to go on loan. I'd love us to like loan him out to Motherwell in order to buy Lennon. Just go, hey, we'll buy Lennon and loan him back to you, and we'll also loan you Yang for the rest of the season. That would be ideal for me. But yeah, no, I think everyone was just like kind of above average. We've done the job. We got through. No one got injured. Fantastic.
Yep, I have to agree. Willie, your thoughts? Anyone you want to touch on there?
Nah, I think we've covered it all. I think what I will say is over the last 2 games, we've had a good look at the squad and what's available to us. We've got a couple of really important games coming up, and I think Brendan's used this last 2 games to get a real good look at the players who he hasn't seen, the Youngs, the Palmers. McCowan's had a couple of run-outs. Taylor, Valle, Ralston, they've all had a game now. So, you know what I mean? He's had a real good look at the players he will be using as his first-team squad as the season goes forward. I think you might have seen Kyogo come off a bit earlier if he had been fit, but he does not fit, like, so Kyogo stayed on from the majority of the game, like. So yeah, and Kyogo as well. I thought Kyogo did okay. His movement was giving Dundee's centre halves just headaches. You see the way he won the penalty. He had a shot in the second half. I think the keeper pulled off a fantastic one-handed save. He was diving down to his right. In the first half, he had one that the keeper got his leg to, which any other day would have went in. And he had another one in the first half. Yeah, he didn't have his shooting boots on with that one, but any other night he would have had a hat trick, but it just didn't come off from the night. But he didn't stop him trying, and didn't stop him working.
Yep, 100% there. So I'm just trying to find the one last thing from the game I wanted to talk about. Andrew Galea mentioned this in the comments early on. The team was leaked early. What do you reckon, guys? It's like the second time in a row that the starting lineup's been released and been right on the leaks. Brendan's got to do something to flush out who's leaking that, doesn't he, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, like, in hindsight, you're kind of like, oh, well, we won anyway. But yeah, for next time, it's like, I don't know how it can come out. I mean, who knows? Do they tell the players? Like, the players aren't going to leak it, but yeah, that's a weird one, actually.
Who was it the last time? Was it not the cleaner? Found bits of paper in the bin and she was leaking all the fucking information on the internet and that.
Apparently, in the 10 in a row season under Lenny, yeah, apparently it was the cleaner. If you believe that, do you believe anything? That's all I have to say. Yeah, it's
we should pick a target. Which player do you reckon would be leaking the information?
I think I know.
McCowan.
Palmer.
It was Dundee.
Palmer. Yeah. I just think it's one of those ones for us where I don't want to the only reason, like, yeah, we won the game, but you don't want to be given the opponents a chance to come in with an extra couple of hours of, okay, this is what we're going to do, so this is what we need to change and make any tweak, especially when this weekend we're going up against Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup semi at Hampden. They're the two undefeated teams in the Scottish Premiership playing each other for a place in a cup final. We need to find out what's going on. And I don't want to be giving Jimmy Thielen an advantage or a chance to make any adjustments because he's doing well enough with that team as it is. So,
well,
yeah, we've really got to sort something out.
Well, what if, because this is something I would do as a coach, what if it was leaked by Brendan Rodgers and he's going to leak a couple more against these lower teams so that when we go to play, like, in a cup final, he leaks the fake one. But everyone's like, oh, the last 4 leaks were correct. So now we've got a leak. So then they start training for something and then we hit them with the real team.
There you go. So everyone's playing checkers. That's what you're saying there, Jared.
Yep.
Yeah. So Robert Gibson saying Brendan Rodgers leaked it to wind me up. John Clements has probably got it right here. Leaks. Players tell their families tell their friends post it online. That's probably what it is. But when it's the whole actual lineup spot on, like with 7 changes, like it was against Dundee, that's when it's an issue. So, yeah, I just think something's got to be done about it. I know there was I'm trying to remember what team it was. It was some sport in America a while back, and what they did was it American football or something like that? They said to a bunch of different coaches or whatever, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, to see what story got out and smoke it out through the media. And it was different for each of them, so they could identify who the cause was, and then bang, they busted someone.
That would be American football. I'm not sure what it was, but they do that all the time. Once there was a quarterback who was taken #1 overall, so millions and millions of dollars, gave him a cassette tape and said, this is the blitz packages, we need you to watch it. And he came back the next day, and there's like, "Hey, did you watch the Blitz packages? Do you know what's going to be going on?" And he's like, "Yep, got it, watched it like 4 or 5 times, sorted." And they had actually given him a blank cassette tape, and he was fired and has never played another game in the league.
Yep. So maybe we need to do some sort of smoke someone out like that.
Mm.
There we go. We need to leak a fake team sheet with a different player on each of them. I'll say Henrik, and then we'll figure out where the leak's coming from real quick. So anyway, I think we'll leave the game there. Normally, I'd say controversial moments. That one at the end, they tried to look at for a penalty against Scales. Shambles. Leave it as is. Nothing to talk about.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's really talking about it.
Yep. Fair enough. So it's time to change the text at the bottom of the screen again. So sing it with me. Oh, the Rangers are broke. We'll chuck that in there. So, yeah, it has to happen here. Looks like they're going a bit under. Andrew's saying liquidation. He's saying administration, and then we'll drink to liquidation. Simply the bust. Let it all happen again. Willie's got his jelly and ice cream ready to go. I know that much already. It's going to be an interesting one. So, just going through some of the financial stuff for them, right? So, they're absolutely leaking money. Hemorrhaging money is probably the nicest way to sum it up. So, if we go back, looking at their accounts at the moment, their revenue was up 5%. Their wages were down 4%. Their amortization for players was down 17%. Losses, massive. They got all this sort of good stuff, right? It's happening. But this is where it gets better. When you go through it, is some of their guys posting stuff is like 17 million net loss despite taking 6 million off COVID insurance and selling a bit of the car park. So they're running at close to 25 million loss each season, converting 9 million loan to equity, drawing down another 4 million in debt financing, another 8.6 million being raised via equity, costing them 4 million a year just to finance the debt. Yeah, they're in all sorts of trouble. So trying to find there you go. So this was on the huddle board. 17 million loss, only 1.1 million in the bank. Current liabilities, things they need to pay in the next year, 84 million pound. Current assets, what they have to cover that, 35 million. That is what the accountancy game is, what your current ratio and to be liquid should you have to sell it. You normally want to be as close to 1. So you have $1 in the bank for every dollar that you owe. They're at basically 40 cents on the dollar. They're in all sorts of trouble. So, and then over the last 30 years, companies using the Rangers Football Club, the name Rangers Football Club, have published losses that have totaled a combined 264 million pound. So, yeah, they're in all sorts of trouble. What's your thoughts on that, Willie? You know, have a bit of a laugh with us or what?
Yeah, they're the hands, mate. The hands are falling apart again. I've been singing away to myself as I walk around the worksite. It's, you look at some of these figures. I mean, the big one at the top of the page is that their revenue turnover is up to 88.3 million, which is the highest turnover they've ever had. Like, they've got 5.9 million coming in from other areas. They've got a wage bill they've had to reduce. I think it's down 3 million, but it needs to come down a further 6 million. So it was at 64 million, 64.5 million. It's down to 61 million. Right? They've got other expenses of 32 million, which is up again another 4 million. And they've got, if they get rid of Clement, which is looking increasingly like it's going to happen over the next 48 hours, there's another 3 or 4 million that's going to have to go out to pay another manager. That'll be the 4th manager that they have sitting on their books getting a wage off them. So they've had to shell out another 3.5 million for being sued. I don't know, is that a yearly cost that they have to pay these companies, or is this the final one? I think this will be the last time they get sued. They won't have legal action coming out against them. It's just, you just look at it, the player amortization, which is basically how you spread out the cost of a payment off a player. If your player costs you 4 million, he signs a 4 million deal.
It's time,
They'll
isn't
put
it?
that. It's just about that time, aye. That's $1 million a year. It costs. That's up at 10.7 million a year. Just everything you look at, like it's just debt upon debt, and the only thing they can do is transfer debt to equity and just make up imaginary sales. I mean, it is where they say it's like confetti. It is basically confetti. I mean, if you had a share in Rangers and you bought it for $20, that's worth about 0.0222 0.0002 of a pence now. Like, you know what I mean? It's worth nothing. That's 17.2 million they owe is a loss after tax after having a record income. I think a lot of that comes down to last year when they bought Sam Lammers, Danilo, Dessers. I don't think any one of them was under 5 million. They're going to get absolutely nothing back for any of them. It's just a shit show of epic proportions, and we're all here for it, to be honest with you. Like, it's funny as fuck.
I can't wait. Last time was it Valentine's Day when they went under,
Aye.
and now the new,
Administration.
yep, and now the new co. Let's see if it happens again. Do it today. Come on, you know you want to do it on Halloween. Come on, I'm not big on it, but it'd be perfect for the zombies to be doing this on Halloween. And Jared, you got any thoughts to add to this?
They could save money by firing whoever the moron was that decided to give Clement extension, which is they want to get rid of him now, and they're like, oh, we can't because of all this money. But I think they're going to lose money by keeping him, because I think Rangers fans are just going to stop turning up. So ticket sales will go down, merchandise sales will go down, canteen, like they've got that whole hospitality section. They're going to be losing money from that. And then if they drop any more spots, then that's more money that's going to be lost. I think by not getting rid of Clement, it's going to cost them more than just paying him out and getting rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it, this year they've done all that work in the Copeland stand. That's all going on to next year's costs, you know what I mean? And when you break it all down, they scrambled around, they were sticking their hand down the back of any couch that they could find to see if they could get money together to get Bajrami for 5 million. That's all going on to that cost. And the players that they brought in that they were hoping it would be high money sales, the Raskins, the Ridvan Yilmazes of the world, they're not doing it. They're not producing the goods. Not one of the players they have is worth, they've paid a lot of money for it, is going to recoup a profit for them. If I was a Rangers fan, I'd be seriously concerned about the way things are going. And the newspapers can throw that name John Halstead out and say, oh, this guy's a billionaire, he's willing to pump money into Rangers. He doesn't want a fucking bar of that, like, you know what I mean? He sees that shit show that's there and thinks, I'll just step back for a wee while and see if this can even itself out a little bit, because right now this thing's just hemorrhaging money at a massive rate.
I was shocked when I saw the amount of the players and the names that they had that they sold, and the total amount that they got for their players, and it didn't even equal like what we sold 3 players for that didn't kick a ball for us last year.
Yeah,
and that was like half their starting. I was like, what the hell are they doing? And I know people might get angry for me, but. We were all bagging out our board because we weren't spending money. And you kind of look at it now and go, okay, after this off-season, like I would give our board like a B+, because we didn't get in quick enough, but we spent money, we got the players that Brendan wanted, and we got a fuckload of money in the bank. And then you look at a team like Rangers and it's like, okay, well maybe have we been too hard on our board?
No,
I think this year they've done a good job. Maybe in the past, but you can only go on your last game. And I think this season, I think the board have done like a decent job of bringing in all that money, and we actually brought in players, broke records, and hopefully it continues in January when we sign a couple more decent players.
There's only been 2 seasons out of the last 7 where we've actually spent more than we've brought in. You know what I mean? You can talk about, oh, you spent 30 odd million last season. How could we compete when you're spending 30 odd million? Well, we took in 40 something, like, you know what I mean? We run a proper business here, you know what I mean? We take in more money than we spend.
Our player trading works. Theirs is non-existent. I think the best summary.
And they had the perfect opportunity when they restarted. They had the perfect opportunity to invest in young players and build up. And as soon they just wanted to get straight back to number 2 again and competing, and so they just spent money that they didn't have, and they fucked themselves. They had the perfect opportunity to build up players for nothing and sell them and have all that money and actually develop, and they done nothing.
I'm going to go the last little thing that I wanted to bring up was, so there's a couple of little things on Twitter that I saw. One is from this GP72, which is no more hiding places or excuses now for Clement. It's over, he's had long enough. First comment: can we afford to sack him? We'll have a whip around if we need to. So it'll be 4 gaffers. But the best one of the lot was Todd the Prod on, what's their thing like Huddleboard called again? Follow. There you go. This is one. Over a decade since 2012. Still requiring loans. Still can't turn a profit, even though 90 million plus in turnover. Still not challenging for titles. Still not implemented a player trading model. No youth academy prospects. No youth football structure. No CEO. No chairman. No director of football. No money. Not even sitting second. I think that's the best summary of the lot for them. And I don't care. But it's absolutely brilliant to see. Kaiser's been standing there having a laugh out his window at him. Henrik Miller saying it's like the plot of The Departed here. Andrew saying shut him down. Won't take too long. Skint FC. Shit pit. Face painters rejoice. Kaiser saying he's going trick-or-treating to the front door of Ibrox tonight.
They'll be asking him for a handout. Like.
And then it's complete mystery to me why they're allowed to continue without some sort of intervention from somewhere.
It's because they keep transferring their debt to equity. So whenever they rack up a decent size of debt, they transfer it into shares and give it back to the people they owe the money to, and sort of pushes the debt back down to a manageable level. Like it's all,
which is actually why this happens. Where's the powers that be in FFP now? Well, when they keep converting it to equity, FFP doesn't come into play. Yeah. So it's a bit of a doozy, all things considered. So yeah, I'm just watching and got the popcorn ready, the ice cream and jelly ready, and yeah, it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be magical. So with that, we then roll into the next little thing. So we need to keep laughing at them because they dropped even more points last night or this morning for us against Aberdeen. They've only scored, one away goal all season, and they are now
because they scored one.
Oh, sorry, they've doubled
their tally.
It's all happening for them. But they are now equally as close to second spot on points as they are to ninth. Absolutely hilarious. I love it. It's the best. So off the back of that result, and we just touched on it, is Baltimore going to get sacked soon? What do you think, Jared?
He has to. Like, the team don't want to play. As soon as I saw the starting lineup, their best attack is on the left-hand side with Jeffy and Bazrami, who's not even a left winger, but they're like, that's where their attack is. That's where they're good. Jeffy was on the bench. And I'm like, and it was like, apparently the sports science people said you need a rest. And I'm like, well, then you should arrest him in one of the other games. This is like, again, this is an important game. Why are you resting starters? And they had nothing. And then he brought him on in the second half because they were getting beat. So you should have just started it. Like, I never see a lineup that they choose and go, that's good. There's always like, what the hell are they doing? In the second half, they played with 3 right backs on the field. And even though they're playing with 3 right backs on the field, our right back still has more goals than all of them combined. It's ridiculous. And so, like, they've got nothing, and I don't think the players want to play for them anymore. So you need to get rid of them. Like, my highlight of watching that game was in the last 15 minutes when they were down 2-1, and you could see they were panicking. And I think the look on his face was hilarious, and he even got a yellow card. But then the Aberdeen's fans, and I know that it was aimed at us, but I thought it was brilliant, started singing, "Fuck you, Celtic, we're going to win the league." And I thought it was brilliant because it's just like they're singing it to Rangers as they're beating them. And it's pretty much like, I know it's aimed at us, but realistically for me, it was aimed at Rangers, because it's like, even Aberdeen are like, you guys are irrelevant. We're singing about Celtic now. It was great.
I loved it. The funny thing as well off the back of this is, like, according to Shane, he's been looking at it. Rangers socials, a lot of their fans are saying they want Clement sacked and they want to bring in Kevin Muscat. And what I said is, I hope for Muscat's sake he doesn't end up there in that shit show. But if you were a Huns fan, he'd be the exact sort of guy you'd want to get in there. He's used to working on a salary cap over here, so if they got no money, he'll be used to getting free signings and low level of spend and that sort of thing, and bring players in. He'll be able to organise something. But I don't want to see him go there, because he's better than that shit show, and they had their chance and they brought Clement in instead, and he was pissed off about it. So if they sack Clement and then they've got to somehow buy Kev out of his contract in China, they didn't have the money for that. So they'll probably end up with send the bat signal out for Graham Murdy again. Willie, what's your thoughts on the whole thing? Are they going to sack him?
It's going to happen. 48 hours, I reckon he'll be gone. And I think you're not going to see Muscat coming. They can't afford it. We've just gone and looked through their finances. They can't afford to go and buy Muscat. Muscat will probably cost 2 or 3 million yen to bring over. Not going to happen. Like, you know, I mean, they're going to end up with probably Derek McInnes in charge, at least till the end of the season. Or even, like, say, Murty might come back in for the rest of the season. Stuart McCall, someone like that. I don't know.
Gerard coming back. Yeah, we got.
Listen, I would absolutely love Gerard to come back. Gerard was only successful. He won 1 title when there was no fans in the stadium. When there was fans in the stadium when he was in Scotland, his team were getting horsed all over the place. I mean, they talk about the time before the COVID, you were handed the league title and you should never have been awarded that. Listen, your last result before we went into lockdown was a 1-0 defeat at home to Hamilton Academicals. So you can ram that argument right up your dump shoot. But listen, the argument we've had over the last couple of seasons is which Rangers player would make it in the Celtic team? Would any make it into that team? Watching that Rangers team, bits and pieces of it between the 2 screens last night, because Rami's about the only player in that Rangers team that would make the Aberdeen team right now. That's how fucking bad they are. Like, long may it continue is all I can say. Like,
Connor Barron's got to be shaking his head going, "What? How did I leave Aberdeen for that?"
I know, he's taking a step back in his career, isn't he?
So Kaiser's point here that if they stay true to the next manager, it'll be Barry Ferguson. But what are you saying, Willie?
They're terrible. They are absolutely terrible. And putting Barry Ferguson in there, that would just make it even funnier. Like, because he would lose the plot when we horsed them at Ibrox and Christmas time.
Yeah, it's going to be funny to see what happens. We'll just watch it, we'll laugh, and we'll just have our popcorn ready, have our ice cream and jelly, and, you know, wait for third Rangers to come out of the depths of Scottish football. So just wanted to quick plug. Today's the last day for the Black Dog Institute's 1 Foot Forward fundraiser for mental health and suicide prevention awareness in Australia. So the Celtic Down Under team's been doing a few of us been doing walking, logging our things, trying to do a fundraiser. We're trying to raise, I think it was over $1,000, and we've more than doubled that. So real proud of the effort that the boys have put in on that. So yeah, if anyone hasn't given anything and you want to support us, jump on our social medias. You can look at Shane's or Dan's or myself or Liam's. Jump on there and just give a little bit if you can. If you can't, no stress at all. So Saturday, Sunday, 4:30 a.m. for me. It's be 6:30 in the morning for you on Sunday morning, Willie. How good's that?
Oh, that's a nice. Just get up, coffee.
Yeah, you're all set.
Yeah.
So we're playing Aberdeen at Hampden in the Scottish Cup semi. So what are your general thoughts heading into the game, Jared?
After today, I think we done well in how we managed our players. Aberdeen had they had a tougher game, and they had to play their players to get the result. And I want to see how well they can pull up just in a few days. So I think if we can get in early, get a goal pretty early. I think, if you remember the last time we played them in a cup game, half the team ended up off the field or rolling around with cramps, and I think they're going to be tired this game when we make them run around. So I think that's where we've got an advantage. Also, we're back at almost like full strength as well. So I think if we just don't have that mental breakdown for that 15 minutes that we did in that last game, where they can make us pay, I think we should win 2-0. I don't think it's going to be a complete hiding, but I think we should get the win, and I think they will lose legs.
Yeah, I'd have to agree on that. For me, I think get a quick start, which is what a couple of comments are saying here as well. Smell the gloves, saying Aberdeen should be mentally exhausted. Start quick, Celtic. I think for us, it's the big wide pitch at Hampden. We get out there, we get a fast start, and yeah, we're off to the races. Willie, what are your thoughts?
I think we need to utilise the pace. All the players that need to be have had a good rest. So we've got really quick wingers in Maeda and Kuhn. We have Kyogo up front. We'll get Kalmak back in the middle. And as long as we start getting that ball from back to front really quickly, passing through the channels and working our way up that big pitch, I think, like you guys are saying, Aberdeen will be tired. They put on a hell of a shift last night, and they will be. Their squad is a little bit more limited than we are. Like I said earlier, we've utilised the squad over the last couple of games, and we've rested players that need to be rested. So with everyone back fully fit, I kind of think we will take care of this, and we'll take care of business quite early.
Yeah, I think normally I ask what the key areas of focus to in the game. It's a cup knockout game, obviously. So for me, the key areas are just taking our chances. That's the main thing for me, and limiting theirs. So I won't go too deep into that. But what do you think the game plan's going to be for this match? Now, Ida, Kuhn, and McGregor should all be back, according to reports, for this one. So what do you think a game plan will be, Jared? And what changes would you make to the squad if you were the manager?
Changes to which squad? Because that wasn't our normal squad this morning. Are you talking about that one or our normal squad?
Skip that part, and we'll just go. What do you think our game plan will be, and what's your expected start?
Right. Okay. So I think our game plan is to have pace, get them on the counter, because I know they're going to leave us with space, because they're going to try and get there's no point going for a draw, which I don't think they would. I think they're going to come at us. So we're back with Maeda, Kyogo, and Kuhn, which I think will cause a bit of damage. I can see Hatate coming back in with Engels and McGregor, and I can see them shitting themselves at 60 minutes when Bernardo comes on, and they're like, "Oh fuck." And the backs, I'm going to go with AJ, Carter Vickers, Trusty, and Valle, with Schmeichel in goal. People will be picking Scales or whatever, but I think just the way that they play, and they'll try and get through balls and balls over the top. Trusty is faster, and he's also a lot better with the ball and tracking the ball in the air, which is where I think it's the only kind of weakness that Scales has left. And and Vi, I think, is just in much better form. Like Taylor's still good, but I think like right now, I think Vi is on form, and he's a lot more dangerous going forward as well. And his passes, which, like we said, this is what we need, and that's what we've kind of struggled with, is finishing. And I think Vi, his through balls and his assists have been pretty decent. So I think we'll play very similar to the last time we played them. We just need to play for the whole 90 minutes and just not have that mental lapse that we did in the last game.
All right. Well, we'll come back to you for your score prediction after we go to Willie and that. So, what are you thinking, Willie? What do you think our tactics will be, our game plan will be, and what's your starting lineup going to be?
I think the tactics will be go for the jugular early, try and kill the game off, try and exploit them as a tired team. I think Trusty will come in for Scales, and it'll be CCV and Trusty at the back, Johnson and Baye on the fullbacks, Kalmark, Engels, Hatate in the middle, Maeda, Kuhn, and Kyogo up front. I think it's going to be a good game of football. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, these are our main rivals this season. The winner of this game is liable to go on and win the cup, I would say, or would be favourites for the final anyway. So it's going to be a good game. I have a feeling it's going to be a good game, and I think it's one we're going to win, and I think we'll win 3-0. But it's not going to be a comfortable 3-0 as the score suggests. I think we'll score early, and then we'll go on to score a couple of goals later on in the game as Aberdeen start to tire.
Yeah, for me, we want to get at them early, 100%, and then it's just control the middle of the park and control where on the park the game's played. So, yeah, I'll just bring up a couple of starting lineups here. So, McLaughlin saying Casper, AJ, CCV, Scales, Taylor, Kalmark, Hatate, Engels, Kun, Kyogo, Maeda. That is the exact team that I would be picking as well. So, I like that we've got Trusty there if we need him. And then we've got Bernardo on the bench as well. I don't think McCowan can play. I think he's cup tied still. Was he good? So that rules that out. But yeah, we're going to have to shut their midfield. Henrik McLarson's coming through with the goods here. The league team, for all the Aberdeen fans who tune in, is Bain, Ralston, Welsh, Naroski, Kalmak, Owata, McCarthy, Palmer, Yang, and Kyogo. It's a bit hard when one of them is no longer at the club. So it's absolute gold. I love it. Brilliant. So, yeah, what's your score prediction going to be, Jared?
2-0. Yeah, hopefully we can get up early and take our chances. I'm just hoping we can keep a clean sheet. Like I said, we need to finish. We get a lot of chances and we need to finish. They don't get a lot of chances, but they make their chances count. So I'd think we just need to be solid defensively.
I'll be up early, just like I'm hoping the team's up early, like I will be for 4:30 a.m. kickoff. So dad joke right there, even though I'm not a dad. There, got to love that one, Willie. Try and keep you awake. Maestro's saying 3-1, and Andrew's saying 4-0. At the end of the day, a win's all that matters, but I think it's going to be a 3-1. I think we'll score early, they'll score, and then we'll get another couple. Just after halftime and one to finish it off. So, yeah, I'm thinking 3-1, and Kyogo's going to get 2 of them, and AJ to keep the ball rolling is going to make it 3 in a row. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking on that front. So what we'll do is we'll start to wrap the pod up there. We'll go to our final thoughts. So, what's your final thought, Jared?
Well, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go and watch the season finale of Agatha All Along. So it's been pretty decent. If you haven't seen it, it's now all going to be streaming on Disney Plus. If you like Marvel, it's been a decent show. Starts off slow.
Fair enough. And Willie, you got your final thought?
Yeah, I'm going to throw in a TV recommendation too. I am really late to the party for this one, but anyone in the UK who's got Disney, get yourself on there and find Mr. In Between, Aussie Gold.
That is a good one. And fine, I'll complete it then if we're going to be all talking about good TV shows and stuff like that. There's a show on ABC called Play School. They teach you stuff and everything like that. So check that out too. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Next week.